Of course, physical symptoms, that's obviously probably the most common. Most of my clients dealt with the range of physical symptoms. Most of them are chronic. Some of the things that have just started, but that then the body gets more imbalanced. This niggle that you feel, or this like you have a stomach ache, and you can ignore it when there's not much imbalance in the body. But when the body is more imbalanced, then it becomes chronic. And if you ignore, that's when the chronic symptoms start becoming worse. Then you feel that tummy ache that was chronic is now turning into all sorts of different gut issues and different pains and different aches. And then other parts of the system start to shut down because you've ignored that thing that's become quite chronic.
Welcome to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, the podcast for high achievers who want to stay sharp, focused, and full of energy despite their diagnosis. With your host, National Board Certified Functional Medicine Health Coach, Julie Michelson, where Julie helps you take your power back from autoimmunity. And now here's your host, Julie Michelson.
Welcome back to the Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast. I'm your host, Julie Michelson. And today I'm joined by Beth McIntyre, a certified emotion, body, and belief code practitioner. Having suffered for most of her teens and early 20s with diagnosed depression and bipolar, she tried countless methods and modalities for overcoming her struggles and finding happiness. 5 years after her real healing journey began, she came across the Emotion Code book by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and the book completely changed her life, leading her to become certified in the body code, the belief code, and the emotion code. Beth now helps others release their own emotional baggage and change their health on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. In today's conversation, we're talking about the healing modalities Beth practices and how releasing stuck emotion and limiting beliefs can enhance the healing process, even for chronic struggles. Beth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for getting up so early in the morning to chat with us. I would love for you. I think everybody leans in, we all have our journey with how we entered this healing world. I would love for you to just let listeners get to know you a little bit by sharing your journey, and then we'll dig in a little more to the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, sure. So I guess my journey began a long time ago. I grew up and I just had a lot of, growing up as a teenager, I felt very, very depressed. And this carried out for a long time, I reckon, until sometime in my 20s. At times it was really bad, like I was quite suicidal. And then in my 20s, it started kind of going on the up a little bit, but it was still quite up and down.
Okay.
And then I reckon it was back in the end of 2018, I kind of started on this healing personal development journey. And throughout that's for like 7 years now. Things had gotten better, a lot better, but it was still quite up and down. Like I was definitely overall feeling a lot better myself. Physically, my health was getting better, like emotionally, like I was feeling happier, but I would still go really down.
Okay.
And so I was noticing that, things were getting better, but it still felt like there was something off. And then, around a year ago now, just over a year ago, I found the Emotion Code book by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And I was just about to get onto a plane flight, and that had it on Spotify Premium. So I put the recording on, listened to it the whole plane flight. For my 2-week holiday, I just practiced it on myself. By the end of the 2 weeks, I was feeling like, wow, I feel better. Like if things were just feeling lighter and I just feel happier. And so since then, I've literally just kept going with it. And he has 2 more modalities, and I trained in those. And then it's just been up and up and up since. My health is like amazing right now. I think it's the best it's ever been. Emotionally, like I feel like my mental health is like every day I feel just so grateful to be alive. Like, I've never felt happy in my life. My career's taking off, and I was someone that struggled a lot, like what do I want to do with my life? And I think that was also like a big driving factor of like I feel so unfulfilled and so like sad. Like I just don't know what I'm doing in my life. And I tried so many different career paths. So like everything is just taking off. Like my relationships are just taking off. Like everything just feels so good. And yeah, like it was in like 1 year since I found his work.
Mhm.
Like it just everything changed.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
powerful. I remember the first time I too listened to the emotion code, and then ended up getting the physical book because I wanted the
Yeah.
physical book as
Yeah. I've got it
well.
right next to me.
And so I personally know how impactful it is, but I was so excited to share your work with listeners because we know that there's a connection between stress, emotions, autoimmunity, health in general, or lack of health in general. But
Hmm.
um, I want to. I'm excited. What I love about the emotion code, I too have. I'm not certified. I have played with it on myself. I have used it on
Hmm.
my animals with my animals.
Yes. Yes.
I had a horse in a post-operative time of crisis in critical care unit, and was using it with him twice a day. I mean,
Oh,
it can
that's
be really
lovely.
impactful.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned the three.
Mm.
And so let's start with the emotion code because that's what pulled you in.
Yeah.
That's the original works of Bradley Nelson. And again, one of the things I love, I always feel like when we find a modality that resonates with us, you can't get better than going to a practitioner, right? Somebody who's trained and
Yeah.
really knows what they're doing. But what I also do love about the emotion code is that you can practice it on yourself, and so you can do both. It doesn't have to be an either or. I think
Yeah.
it's really wise to start with a practitioner, and if it is working and resonates, then learn more. And this is how we get more practitioners too. So
Yeah. Well, I think
yeah,
everyone's journey is different, like because
sure.
I have people that come to me and like because obviously you've done it, you have to learn the muscle testing,
Mhm.
and some people find that like tricky, and so
Gotcha.
that they
Yeah,
definitely
and
want to go to practitioner,
I
and then other
love that you
people
you bring up
both.
the different journeys. I
Yeah.
already was trained in muscle testing and using muscle testing
Yeah.
for other things. And so for me, this was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah.
natural.
So you're
Yeah.
right. It is. And some people, like, not all of us find healing and that becomes our calling either. So,
Mm.
you know, it's
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that's
Yeah.
the beautiful part. So tell us a little, what is the emotion code? And I want to like touch on, I use the word stuck emotion, but
Yeah.
tell us just
That's a
kind
good.
of large scale, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so basically, like you've already said it, at the basic level, it's just what we do is identify trapped emotions, so stuck emotion that we've stuck in our energy field. So anything or in our body, so any time where we have felt an emotion and it was very overwhelming to us and we weren't able to process it, and this can also happen like if you're someone who stuffs down your emotions,
Uh-huh.
if you
Which,
need to cry, but you're trying to avoid it, or you're angry, but you're like, okay, I suppress my
mhm.
anger. These obviously, every time you do that, you're definitely causing stuck emotional energies in your body. And most adults have hundreds of them, like sometimes thousands. It's
Depends.
they're
Yep.
just everywhere. And I think the big thing that people sometimes think is like you have to have experienced something insanely traumatic,
A
to have
capital
this.
T trauma, big
Yeah.
trauma. Yeah.
But
No.
that's not even the case at all. Like since I've been doing this work, I find now that I'm so conscious to it, like I know when I've trapped an emotion. And it's like sometimes it's at the stupidest things, someone cuts me off on the road. And
Sure.
I'm like, oh, God damn it. Like, it's like, and if you're tired or stressed or your body is already like got issues, you're going to be more likely to take on those trapped emotions as well because the body literally doesn't have the energy to process it in the moment. So
Gotcha.
there are a number of factors why. So, of course, if you have trauma with a capital T, you're probably definitely going to have some trapped emotions from those times. But then there's just everyday trauma with a small d that just isn't even anything, but the body can't handle it.
And there have been studies, you use the word stuffing, there is a correlation between stuffers and autoimmunity for sure. And, people who squash their voice and
Mm.
thyroid issues in particular. And
Mm.
thyroid is one of the most common autoimmune conditions.
Hmm.
So, that was kind of one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you and
Yeah.
have you share your wisdom with
Yeah.
listeners. So then the second modality, and obviously they're all intertwined, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, definitely.
um,
So the
yeah,
second modality is the body code, and that has the emotion code inside of it. So that's like one aspect of it. And then the third modality is the belief code, and that's also inside the body code. So the body code has everything, and those two modalities are inside. So that has all of them. Yeah.
and is it something like is it something that like someone says, "Oh, I need that," or you use all three all the
Yeah,
time
so
because they're
yeah,
interconnected?
so
Like,
normally, yeah,
yeah,
they're interconnected. So sometimes I'll ask someone's because as you know, you'll connect to the person's subconscious, or if you're doing it on yourself, you'll be asking your subconscious questions through the muscle testing. Um, and sometimes if there's something specific, like the body will basically, I can feel it. I can feel the body is saying, "Oh, I just want to use the emotion code today." Like there's this issue is caused solely by trapped emotions. So
gotcha.
just go to this. And like as I think as you get more experience, like I can naturally feel
What's
where the body
needed?
is taking me. Yeah. But in most cases,
Okay.
like I just go to the body code and because it has everything in it and
Okay.
not most imbalances are caused by most multiple things. So the body code just has like a more comprehensive range of imbalances, including trapped emotions, which you end up finding are the cause of most imbalances anyway. So you
Gotcha.
have like you'll find like a thyroid imbalance,
Right.
and then you'll ask like what's causing this, and then there'll be trapped emotion, trapped emotion, trapped emotion, trapped emotion.
And I love that you say that because it's not, there's no one and done. You mentioned all of us, we don't have to be aware of experiencing grand trauma, right? All of us
Mhm.
have stuff. I mean, even just from being told to be polite when you're little, or, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it starts early. And so for the most part, we're not aware of these things, but
No.
I love that you talk about kind of the layers or the stack of it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, this is this one thing happened one time and that caused this and we're done. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think Dr. Brad says it a lot. I don't know if it's in the motion code book, but in the body code, which he also has a book on, he says anything causes anything, like can cause anything.
sure,
It's like it's
sure.
not, and it's per person, just because one person's thyroid imbalance is caused by X, this other person
Oh
can have
yeah.
completely different imbalances that is causing the same issue. It's
Yeah.
just dependent entirely on your body and what you've been through and how your body is processing that. Like I think that's the other thing. Like we also can't like consciously we feel like, oh, that didn't affect us. But like you don't know what the body's doing. You actually don't know how the body is actually taking that on. You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting to see.
It is. It is. So like, yeah, what are some effects or could be some effects of trapped emotion in the body?
So anything really,
Okay.
like anything you can think of can be caused by trapped emotions or can greatly, because all trapped emotions, what happens in the body is like we have what we call the stages of imbalance. And so when you just have like a few, the body is still able to, because the body can naturally, like we all know, we have like if you get a cold, you can recover. If you scrape your knee, you recover. So the body does have like its innate healing capacity. It's
Sure.
just that we've got imbalances in the body and other things going on that are blocking that. So the more imbalances you have, the harder it is for the body to be able to innately have that healing ability. And so the more trapped emotions you have, the more that's going to hinder it because all those energies are trapped in your body. And so it can cause anything. Obviously, the most obvious one is like emotional issues. So if you have a
Mhm.
lot of anger stored in your body from whatever, you might find that you're like an angry person. But obviously, you can have like a lot of sadness trapped in your body, and then you might find you're generally sad. But like just obviously, the more trapped emotions you have, because they're energies, they say if I have lots of anger trapped inside of my body, and then I feel angry, and that feeling of anger is then resonating with the anger that's already trapped inside my body. So I feel that anger more than what I would if I didn't have that anger already stuck in me. So
Gotcha.
same with anxiety, for example, like if you have a lot of anxiety trapped in your body, you'll then feel anxious, but then that will resonate with the energies in your body. And then
Interesting.
boom, you feel 10 times more anxious. So that's obviously the main one, like emotional issues, mental, emotional health. But anything, like now the big hot topic is like manifestation. So, any energy in the body can block, if you don't feel worthy of like money or your career or a relationship, anything, like if you have that unworthiness stuck in you, well, why are you going to attract what you desire? Why are you going to bring that into
Right.
your life? Even if you do, you'll probably self-sabotage, so that's a big
Sure.
one, like
Well, and so
self-sabotaging
that's where
patterns.
the belief code comes in, which is
Yeah.
not Bradley Nelson's work, right? It was added on
So
to
it was
his work.
someone else,
Yeah.
and then they took it and kind of so they worked with the original people and they kind of made it into what it is today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, and then of course physical symptoms. That's obviously probably the most common. Most of my clients come to me for physical symptoms. I've
okay.
dealt with people with a range of physical symptoms, and most of them are chronic. Some of the things that have just started, but that then so as the body gets more imbalanced, you may this niggle that you feel, or this like so you have a stomach ache or something, and you can ignore it when there's not much imbalance in the body. But then when the body is more imbalanced, then it becomes chronic. And then if you ignore that, that's when the chronic symptoms start becoming worse. And then you feel that tummy ache that was then chronic is now turning into, all sorts of different gut issues and different pains and different aches. And then other parts of the system start to shut down because you've ignored that thing that's become quite chronic, right? Because all these imbalances are building up. So yeah, like a lot of clients will come to me for like a lot of gut issues they've had, but even habits. Um, like I've had clients that had habits that they had since they were a child, and we released all these things that sometimes weren't even related to the habits, and then the habits have disappeared, like
Yeah.
fingernail
Well,
biting or picking, things
I
like
think
that.
so many things that are habits or patterns as adults
Mm.
served us as children in some way, right? Like
Mm. Like
we were,
protection.
yeah, they were protective, and most of the time, by the time we reach adulthood, they are not serving us anymore.
Yeah,
And so I love that you caught it. We can't separate out the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Like we are whole, complex human beings.
exactly.
And that's where I got really excited. I shared before we hit record. I didn't know about the belief code.
Hmm.
And but I've done a lot of belief work,
Yeah,
and a lot of work around limiting beliefs and um, using modalities. I hate to say simple. Using modalities, I call them shortcuts, right? There
mm.
are things like theta healing, things like
Hmm.
body code, emotion code, belief code, that where we don't need to clock 100 hours in therapy. And I'm not saying like if
Yeah.
you're in therapy and it's working for you, great. But there are ways of just releasing, shifting these energies, letting go of stuff. If
Mm.
we can have somebody help us even identify what's there.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
that's,
that's why I love, sorry, the belief code is when
yeah.
I found it. Everything changed since then. Same as you. I've done a lot of belief, like limiting belief work. And it's like before, I always found it really arduous. Like it was a lot of, okay, I have to like find them out. And then, like a lot of repetition, like, you got to new beliefs and affirmations and like really, all that belief work that I had done. And then when I started the belief code, I was like, wow, like actually shifting beliefs is like simple. And it was when I
Doesn't have
found
to be
belief
that
code
hard.
that like my life, like all the work I'd been doing, like with the emotion code, the body code, it
Just,
was like amazing, but it just like skyrocketed. And I
yeah.
found same with some of my clients, like the issues that we had been working on when I had just had the two modalities.
Mhm.
And then it still wasn't kind of clearing up. And then there was like that one underlying belief, and then it just like changed,
Yeah.
Like it was just, and I've had one person that I worked on when I was actually doing my certification. So we have different belief systems. They have like the pattern differently. And one of them you can have is like a partial belief system. So this is very common to find in people that have done a lot of belief shifting work, because some of the beliefs have already been destabilized. And I found this in her, and she was like, "That's so interesting because I've been working with my psychologist for like the last year to literally change these beliefs." And I was like, "That's really interesting because what she's worked on in like a year, and like you said, not to discredit like psychology
Right.
or therapy, because I have a degree in psychology, like I started with that. Um, but like, it's funny that she was taking a whole year and yet they hadn't
Right.
still the belief system was partially
Was
there.
still there.
Then I
Right.
was able to go in and just be like, yeah, like, and I didn't have to do anything. It's like, that's the beauty about it is that we're not like finding it or like working it out. I just ask the
Right.
subconscious, and with the system that the amazing comprehensive system that they have, like it just guides me. And so there's no
Right.
like guesswork in it. Like I'm not, as a practitioner, like I'm not healing you, I'm not finding things out. I'm literally just talking with your mind and it's telling me everything. And that's why I love it so much.
Like being
It's
a
so simple.
detective, but
Yeah.
it's so structured
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
yeah.
That's what
And
I think that's what I love about it. Like so structured, like it's not like I've done other energy healing work and like it's a bit more airy fairy. And I
mhm.
love coming from like a science background. I love that. They structured, it's very like systematic.
Black and white. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
it's very like it's just taking me where I need to go, and then I know that, and then I know I just have to release that, and then we move on. It's like it's
yeah.
so I love it.
That's fantastic. I really and you were talking about, oh gosh, I lost my thought. Um it'll come back up. There was something you said that's, with your own healing journey, right? You were
Mhm.
already working on stuff and already, healing and feeling better, but that
Mm.
belief work, it really makes every other thing you're doing to heal exponentially faster.
Yeah.
I used to, get to belief work like when I was very first coaching.
Mhm.
I knew it was important, and I was doing a lot of work on myself, personal growth, and I hadn't quite fully connected the dots in how essential starting all of my clients with belief work to get better, quicker,
Yeah. It's like the
more
foundation,
permanent
really.
results with
Yeah.
every other thing, was amazing. And I love that you reference, you have like a science brain, right? Because this
Mhm.
sounds very woo-woo, and even just the words belief
Yeah.
work, right? Or
And even
emotion
just like
code.
energy healing,
Yeah.
like it's very, when I
Um,
tell people I'm energy healer, they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I've sort of tried to use a different word now because I think people
yeah.
associate it with, so yeah, like very, very woo stuff, which it still
Well,
is, but like
but
it's
the funny thing is
very,
the woo-woo stuff is rooted in science, and
yeah,
really none of it is new.
no,
So,
new to mainstream
yeah,
people,
I tell
I
people
think.
like, okay, have you heard of the placebo effect? And I did a presentation once that had, when the placebo effect, I forget now what year it was,
Mm,
but a long time ago, they
mm,
learned about it, and it was like, this is this is good news. Like, we know your body is responding to your thoughts. So why
yeah,
wouldn't we use that as a tool? And,
yeah,
I really do believe, like, if somebody shows up to work with me, if they're working with me, there's a part of them that at least that obviously hopes they can heal, but they may not be
Mm,
really all in on belief, right? And so
mm,
if they don't believe they can heal, they can change diet, they can manage stress, they can, optimize movement, get their sleep dialed in, handle the toxins, and
everything.
still say stick. Like it
Yeah, and like you
really,
said, like placebo effect, like even if
yeah,
everything is in check, they're
yeah.
still just gonna, and then it also causes like, even if everything is in check and they are getting better, then there is that belief, and then they might self-sabotage,
Right.
like
Then there's that
just go back and
backslide or
forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas when we truly understand how important our beliefs are and
Mm.
and I always say awareness is the first step. But what I love with the work you do is it doesn't require, people don't have to do a lot of homework. They don't have to
No,
uncover their hidden belief,
no. This sounds
they're,
so great. Like
yeah,
it's so,
yeah,
and it's so like I had a person I was working on recently, and I gave her, she was quite new to my work, but she'd done a lot of personal development work. And it was just a friend, so I was just doing a session for her. And at the end, she was like, "Oh, so you released all this? Like, do I have to go over it? Do I have to do
right.
anything?" And I
Do
was
I
like,
have to
"No,
understand
that's
how it got
yeah."
there? Do I?
And I was like, no, like, because she's so used to doing all this other like belief
Deep.
work and stuff where it's
Yeah.
like a lot of like you have to go in and process and feel and like uncover and dig it out. And I was like, no, like you can look at it and you can like thank it, like acknowledge that these things were here. It's like, but it's for your own information. Like I've already released
Yeah.
it all for you. You don't have to do anything. Like just the body is going to process it, and then most people don't really feel anything during processing, which is amazing. It's not like other
Yeah.
modalities as well, which I love, where like you have to go and like talk about it and bring the emotions up, and
Right. You
it's a
don't
lot of
have
like
to
crying or
relive and
angriness.
traumatize
No,
and yeah.
no, you don't even have to think about it at all if you don't want. And we don't have to talk about it. Like if you want to come and like you don't even want to tell me anything, like as long as I know the symptoms, like I
It gives you
can,
that starting point.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just my favorite. Like, yeah.
I can tell you have found your calling for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. You must have people ask you all the time to do like friends and family to do, a session here, a
Not
session there.
really. I think
Really?
I'm like, I don't know if it's just like,
They might be afraid. They will.
hmm.
It's going to
Or like
happen.
they don't, not afraid, but like so when I was doing my certifications, we have to do like X number of people.
Sure.
And I just used, at the time, I just wanted to help my friends and family. So a lot of people, they'll go, there's like a Facebook group and or if they have previous clients, they'll ask them, and they'll use on random people. But I was like, I just, like, it helped me so much. So I want to help my friends and family. So I only
Sure.
wanted to work with my friends and family. So I was just asking them, and I was like, will you volunteer? And some of them saw changes, but then and then others saw changes, but then they weren't kind of into this work, any kind of personal development work,
Sure.
especially like this more woo-woo side of personal development work. And they were like, oh yeah, I've seen changes, but like, I don't know if it's from what you
Not
did,
for me. Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, I've been feeling better, but
Interesting.
like, was it from what you did? Like, I've also been doing this and this and this. And I'm like,
Right. Skeptics, which is
yeah.
healthy. Like nothing, I am a natural
Yeah.
born skeptic. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I'm also very open. So I got both sides
Yeah.
covered. So
Yeah.
and typically when you're working, I don't know how you structure how you're working now. Is
Mhm.
it multiple sessions? Is it, tell me
Um,
like what
so I have
people,
different ways. So like, because my business is still fairly new, so I have just clients just come for as many sessions as they want, like until they're finished. But I think once clients find that like it's really helping, they like want to do
hooked?
it. Like they're hooked, and they're like, how often can I come? How often can I see you? So I do sessions in person, and we do a lot of like email sessions. So everything's remote, like everything can be done remotely, or Zoom or phone call. And then I also do like packages for clients if they want to save a bit of money, they can buy 10 and use it in like 6 months or something.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
and I've just started doing, which I have, like, I've just kind of channeled this through, I guess, which I'm really excited about, is like kind of mentoring people side by side so that I feel like with that increased contact, because I've found in my own personal experience, like I can see things, obviously they can't, like you coach, you'd know. And then
Yep.
I can use that in our sessions to like, so if there's something that's not healing, and like they tell me these are the symptoms and this is it, and like we're dealing with it. Some things have to come from different angles, especially if it's
Sure.
like a
I
more
find
complicated issue.
sometimes the
Yeah, like
most important direction to go in is something that a client might say off the cuff, like thinking it's not
exactly,
important. And I know,
exactly.
like, I get goosebumps and I'm like, ooh,
That's it.
it's
Yeah.
that
So
thing.
I've
You don't know it's that
exactly.
thing, but it's that
And that's
thing.
what I can pick that up from like email communication and when they come in, but like prolonged contact, like if we're in contact
Sure.
every day, like with kind of like side by side coaching kind of thing, I can see all that every day, the more
Sure.
communication we have. So I'm like, oh, that's going to be amazing. So I've paired that with like a kind of a one-on-one container with the sessions per week in a monthly basis so that then I can see that. And then if they have issues as they're going through, and then once I can look at that and be like, okay, look, this is still going on, but I can like see this that you're clearly blind to, which obviously we all have our blind spots. And like, yeah,
Sure.
like you said, like I can, that's pinging at me. Like I know that thing that you keep saying that you're like, don't even probably realize you're saying. That's where we have to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm
That's
really excited.
exciting. I can imagine the results people are going to get. And
Yeah.
so to kind of recap, because they're not really, you have, it's three certifications, but these are not
Hmm.
separate, totally separate modalities. So
No, they're
the body
all
code is the overarching, and within that you have the emotion code and the belief code as well.
hmm.
Correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if it like obviously if you're not on video, you won't be able to see this.
Yeah.
But you can see, oh, sorry, my cat. That's the body code.
Mhm.
Uh, and so if you then go into here, you've got this is the emotional part, and then whatever. But then inside that, it's not really.
It's
Inside
okay.
that is
And
like you can't see, but that's the emotion code. So
and
it's like
people
inside. So you
understand,
just,
even for people, listeners that are only listening on
yeah,
audio, they've heard it enough about, we
yeah.
are these interconnected complex. So it makes perfect sense to me. And I was actually really excited when I found out about the belief code. I don't know, when did that come
Mm.
out? You
Um,
know?
so it's quite recent. I think the certification only came out like a couple of years ago. Like it's
Okay.
very, because they, like you
Yeah.
said, it wasn't originally by Dr. Brad. And then they worked with it was called T3, I think like transformational therapy or something like that.
Hmm.
And then they were, I think the people that made that, they were students. They'd also done the emotion code and the body code. And
Right.
then they'd kind of like come on and Dr. Brad saw it and then they were working together to kind of like build it out more. And then I think they ended up selling the rights to them and they took it over and then they were really like building it out for
Yeah.
the last
Well, and it
few
makes
years.
perfect sense because it's
Yeah.
it's it's so aligned. And again, I feel like the technique and the system of the body code is
Yeah.
is just the perfect modality to,
Yeah.
I call it
And it
clearing
works.
the
Yeah, it's clear.
these
Yeah.
limiting beliefs.
Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah. And it's like
Yeah.
it actually that was perfect because what you do is like you literally clear them. And the thing is
Bye.
like you don't they're gone. Like literally they're gone. Like I've done this on myself. And even that I love that. I can literally do this on myself.
Yeah.
Like it was just the other day where I noticed something was like bothering me. And then I was checking your balance and stuff I do. And then a belief system came up and I released it. It took like 20 minutes. And then I literally thought about that same thing and like the energy that I felt towards
Just-
it was like gone. And I was like it's so incredible how that can change like in literally like 20 minutes. And
yeah.
I can feel that shift. Like, it doesn't take me like like weeks, years,
Right.
months, or whatever. Like
Right.
it's literally I can change that, and then like I know that pattern won't happen again because that energy that I had towards it is like it's gone. Like where's it
Yeah.
gone? It's gone, and yeah, it's cleared, and it makes perfect sense. Like you said that it's so in a line because what you find with the belief code also is that um when you find the system, there are normally like things keeping it in place, and those like other imbalances that kind of like hold it in place. And most of the time, all the other imbalances are trapped emotions. So, like, when you release those trapped emotions, then the belief system becomes destabilized because it's no longer got that emotional energy towards it. And then, like, the beliefs just become like, clear, 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 clear. It's nothing anymore.
That's fantastic. Amazing, amazing work. So we're at the point of the podcast where listeners know it's time to lean in and hear what you think one step they can take starting today to improve their health would be.
Well, I think if you get the book, The Emotion Code, you can listen to it. And even if you don't want to reach out to a practitioner, you can literally start yourself today.
I love it.
Learn to muscle test, which is quite simple. It's like I think people overcomplicate it, but there's many ways which are all laid out in the Emotion Code book.
What's
And
your
yeah,
favorite
just
way?
start.
I'm just curious. What do you use?
I used the ring and ring one, but I
Hmm.
started with the sway test because at the beginning when I started, I didn't know I had never done
Yeah,
muscle testing before. So
gotcha.
I started with the sway test, which is very easy. I think some people like the pendulum as well. I think it's quite popular.
Hmm.
But I now that I feel confident, like I always use this, the same one that Jonathan
Me too.
Rose.
That's why I was curious. So
Yeah.
amazing. And well, and it's
But
interesting
yeah.
when I was doing belief work with a theta healer, um, and you know, the thing you don't know at the time, but you
Mm,
know, we were always she was always having me use the sway test.
mm,
I just did
no.
what I was told because I wanted to do the work,
Yeah.
you know. And then after later on, when I learned the muscle testing, it was like, oh, that's what she was doing the whole time. We were just muscle testing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I found that sometimes someone said that to me, like a woman that she does the work as well, and she like talks to your intuition a lot. And then she'll like channel things from other people's intuition and stuff. And then someone said to me, oh, she's muscle testing. Like there's some certain questions you can see, like it's not so obvious, but like you can see she'll like do like this one or like, and she'll just go,
Uh-huh.
And you can like see that as well. I'm like, oh, even like everyone uses it.
I have been known to use it in conversation too, to just check in. So
It's
that's
very useful,
it
like, and
is.
sometimes I find like some clients will come to me and they'll be like, oh, like I'm feeling this intuitively. Can you like check if this is like, is this my
Yeah,
intuition? I'm like, oh,
verify.
yep, you're right. Like just
Yeah,
follow it.
I love it. That's great. So for people that are listening on the go and they aren't going to pull up the show notes, where's the best place to find you?
So on my Instagram, but you can just go there directly. I have a web link, bemhealing.com. I'm in the process of making my website, so that will eventually be a link to my website. But right now, it just links straight to my Instagram, and you can find all my details there.
Nice. And it's BEM Healing on Instagram as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Nice. Wonderful. Well, Beth, we so appreciate you waking up at the crack of dawn this morning to join us for this conversation. You have given everybody so much value and so much to consider. And I love your one step. I concur. I think people should go get the book, get the emotion code, listen to it, read it, play with it, and
yeah.
then, find Beth.
Yeah, find me. Oh, there are also like there's me, of course. I'm amazing. But there are also on the website Discover Healing. There are thousands of practitioners, and there's actually they have a practitioner map. So if you prefer in-person sessions, I think most practitioners do remote, like I do remote, but I also
Mhm.
do in-person. So if you do prefer in-person and you're not where I am, I'm in Adelaide in Australia. There you can go onto the map and it shows all the practitioners by their location.
Nice.
And you can check them out. Obviously, every person has a different practitioner that speaks to them.
Sure.
So but there are thousands of them now. Like, so amazing that there's so many more people doing this work.
We need it.
If you want to get started straight away without having to learn, you can just find a practitioner and book in straight away. And I totally recommend it. Like, it's life-changing.
Yeah, as do I. Beth, thank you so much. Again, thank you for getting up so early.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
You're bringing to the world.
Thank you,
for everyone
Julie.
listening, remember you can get the show notes and transcripts by visiting inspiredliving.show. Hope you had a great time and enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity. Did you enjoy this episode? Please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to get a transcript of this and every other episode, just head on over to inspiredliving.show or click on the link in this episode's description. There, you can also find everything we discussed in this episode, including links and information about our guest. You can even send in your questions to be answered by Julie in a future episode. That's inspiredliving.show. Until next time, this is Julie Michelson's Inspired Living with Autoimmunity podcast, helping you take your power back.